Here in America, there's a lot of talk about sanctuary cities and trying to get rid of them by the current administration here in the year 2025. And the main reason why is because, their argument is there's a lot of crime associated with sanctuary cities and illegal people and illegal activity. Yeah, that's not the reason why, though. That's what's been stated. Oftentimes, I don't know why I use that word so often, oftentimes, but on a regular basis. How about that? On a regular basis, people who are concerned about exercising their enormous power want to make the decision of who they give grace to. And it's usually based upon the demographic or the people groups that they're interested in having around them. Most people are self-interested. What I mean by self-interested is they're uncomfortable with the idea of having a group of people that are not like them around them, all the way down to the hue or color of their skin. But in particular, in the economic class or financial ability of them as well. So they want people that look like them, have as much money as them, or something similar to that. And with the same moral basis, which usually is questionable. These people are manipulators because the natural order of things they're not interested in. They're interested in manipulating the economic basis of that environment. The economic basis, in other words, the control of people groups within that environment. The basis is that particular spot that they're interested in dominating. The economic basis or the economic domination of the space that they're in. And they usually want people around them that are like them and are very uncomfortable when people are not like them. So they want to manipulate that space. The challenge is when you get around people who have enormous power, they can manipulate enormous space. It already happens on a corporate level. It already happens on a neighborhood level where you can manipulate the space of a neighborhood. You can manipulate the space of your corporation because you own it. You can make a decision on who you want to hire. You can almost make a decision on who you want in your neighborhood by becoming friends with the people in that economic space and making sure that those opportunities are only taken advantage of by a particular group of people. Challenge in a lot of our communities, and again, this is for my kids, my grandkids, my brothers and sisters around the world who consider me a teacher and whomever else. The challenge in our community here in America in the year 2025 I'm not saying we can't do it, I'm just saying this is the challenge. And see if you want to take up the challenge if you're listening to this in this particular space and time. Is unifying people who can also manipulate the space. Because whether you like it or not, this is how it works. This is how it works. And unfortunately, those who are not of the sons of light are more wiser and cunning than the sons of light. We're too busy fighting ourselves. having these empty arguments on who drives the best car and who has the most people in their congregation, and who's the billionaire, and you're fighting people who are limitless and will allow you to have a billion because they're limitless. And they will be as long as they can manipulate you. The humility, now that's the grace part. The grace part is who you give. That was a long conversation for it. But the grace part is who you give refuge to. Because someone gets refuge. Refuge in one fashion is considered favor. Again, this is to my kids, my grandkids. If you make a mistake and I give you favor, unmerited favor, and I give you favor, it gives you the opportunity to explain yourself. It doesn't necessarily get you out of the situation. The sanctuary city was the opportunity to explain yourself, to give you a fighting chance. We don't give ourselves a fighting chance a lot of times in the descendants of American slaves because we're too busy defending ourselves to the very people who should be giving us a fighting chance. We're being shunned and pushed away from ourselves. Saying, well, it'll work out for them. I was wrong, but I'm not going to tell them I was wrong. I'll let it work out for them. I'm going to tie this all together here in a minute. I hope. I'm going to do the best I can. See, in Joshua 19, the beautiful part of Joshua, which is not only his leadership style, was his humility. Joshua, after doing all the work of the ministry in his older ages, retired not on a mountaintop but in a valley, in a very humble city, which is now considered Sorek Valley in Israel. Very humble existence for someone who wielded the power of thousands of people and took over a vast swath of land. In his older age, moved into a valley and only commanded a city as the judges began to come in, which we're getting to later. This man did incredible things. Not saying that he died a pauper, but he lacked nothing. But he wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. He had a mission, and that was to plant the kingdom of God inside the kingdom of heaven, as God had told him to do, mentored by the best in the game, Moses, who couldn't make it there. In a previous video, I said he couldn't see the land. He could see the land, but he couldn't get into the land because Moses made some mistakes. Your leadership, if they're doing a great job, can only get so far, and he or she surrounds themselves with people that can get much further than them in the progression. Joshua was that man that had the opportunity to learn from the humble Moses, who gave up his Ethiopian life and his beautiful Ethiopian wife and his father-in-law, who loved him like a son, to walk for I don't know how many years, starting off at 40 years old. I believe he was the youngest of the three, Miriam, Aaron, and him, and gave up his life. That's humility. To take people on a journey away from poverty. And you'll say, well, they had everything in Egypt. No, they were in bondage. They had onions and leeks. They had access to food, but their mind, their mentality was in bondage. They were not able to worship the Lord their God because they were under the thumb of Pharaoh, who had gotten rid of their God. He was unaware of, or was not convinced by, the legacy of Joseph, which I think was 2 Pharaoh or 3 Pharaohs previous. The Israelites were slaves and they were not unified. And Moses came in to unify Israel. I just posted something on social media today, October the 27th or 8th. October the 28th at 5:52 in the morning right now. But I posted something on social media that showed on Google, on a Google search, they said that not one tribe of Israel was black. Yeah. And I'm pointing these things out to you, first of all, to leave them in legacy. And I've said this before, my daughter's generation will learn who Israel is. And it's much larger than one tribe sitting on a land called Israel. Today's president is Netanyahu, who's an Ashkenazi Jew of the Yiddish background, which is created well before the actual Israel, or well after the actual Israel, tribes within Israel. You guys will get it. You'll discover it and you'll break it open to where all the tribes of Israel will come together, unify, and knock down the deceptive nature of today's practices. This is far larger than religion. This is lifestyle. This is the game. People are looking to divide us and tell us we're not who we are. And a lot of you are buying into it or cowering so that you can have enough money to feed your families because you don't want to get into this fight. That wasn't Joshua's position. Joshua's position is, yes, we're going to unify under one banner and we're going to follow one practice of the tribe of Ephraim. But he saw himself as not just, in my opinion, this is Papa Paul's opinion, not just a member of the tribe of Ephraim, but the carrier of the kingdom for the whole tribe of Israel. So he was not just tribe of Ephraim pushing forth his agenda. He was tribe of Israel pushing forth the agenda of God to plant the kingdom of God within the kingdom of heaven. A lot of you have lost your way because you're busy representing your tribe and not the tribe, which is the combined nature of all the tribes, whether the Levitical priesthood, the 2 half tribes, or the other 11 tribes. In doing so, Joshua, when he retired, he moved into a small place in Joshua chapter 19. A small place as, in consideration, in comparison to everything that was done. in verse 51, these the inheritance of Eleazar, which Eleazar the priest and Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel divided for an inheritance by lot in Shiloh before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So they made an end of dividing the country. And right there in verse 50, right above that, it says, according to the word of the Lord, they gave him the city, which he asked. He didn't demand a whole state. He asked for a city. Timnath Serah, in the mount of Ephraim, which was a valley. Quiet place. I'm done with all you people. I gotta go. And he built the city and dwelt therein until he died. Conquered all that land and went into a valley inside of a mountain that, his tribe, Ephraim, was given of the tribe of Joseph, and went to a city inside of a valley and built that city and was good. He didn't have a throne. He didn't command people to, no, that was it. In chapter 20, I want to show you what I mean by grace. Verse 1, this is talking about cities of refuge. The Lord also spake unto Joshua, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, appoint out for you cities of refuge. I believe these were also cities where the priests were as well. I think I remember reading that. I might be wrong, but I think so. Appoint out for you cities of refuge, whereof I speak, strike that, whereof I spake unto you by the hand of Moses. So this wasn't a new phenomenon. Moses had already determined that this was going to be God speaking to Moses, his representative on earth. In chapter 20, verse 3, it says that the slayer that kills person unawares, unwittingly, may flee thither, and they shall be your refuge from the avenger of blood. So a couple things happening there. The last thing was avengers of blood cannot go into this city and just yank people out. And you'll know why I'm laughing if you're anywhere around, if you understand history or you're here in the year 2025, you understand what's going on today. That the Avengers of Blood are yanking people out of cities today, which is a fairly new phenomenon with this current administration. That the slayer that kills persons unawares, unwitting, may flee thither, and they shall be your refuge from the avenger of blood. So this is a place where people who are unwittingly and unaware of their wrongful acts go for protection. Now let me tell you why this is important, or let me give you my explanation of why I believe this is important. Because there are people, including you and I, that get into situations and we're unaware that we're doing it wrongly. Now this is about killing people, but the principle is you're unaware of that you're doing something wrong. There in America, there's a rule that there's ignorant. You can't claim ignorance when it comes to the law, which is the reason why you need an attorney. Can't claim ignorance. But the idea behind receiving mercy and grace is so that chapter 20 verse 4 could happen. And when he that does flee unto one of these cities shall stand at the entering of the gate of the city, shall declare his cause in the ears of the elders. So that person can go to the elders of the city so that they can hear their clause. You can believe some people got turned down, because the nature of this is the intention, or the nature that's being examined is the intention of your heart when the thing happens, so that they can judge if it was truly unwittingly and done unaware. So in verse 4, you have to talk to the elders at the gate. And if the elders of the gate let you in, they should take him into the city unto them, and give him a place that he may dwell among them, but not permanently. It says, and if the avenger of blood pursues after him, they shall not deliver the slayer unto his hand, because he smote his neighbor unwittingly and hated him not before time. In other words, he didn't do it because he hated him. In verse 6, and he shall dwell in that city until he stand before the congregation for judgment. But you shall have the opportunity to stand before the congregation for judgment. There's a principle in the New Testament that talks about this as well. I'm not going to go into it, but it's there. I'm challenging my kids, my grandkids, to actually do some research and look at these principles, because these principles are just as valid as the principle of air and water and fire and earth. And if you master these principles, it will give you the opportunity to live a very successful life on the right side of history. If these videos, podcasts are helpful to you, please like and share them with people, friends, family, Bible studies, whatever you think is appropriate. And thank you for taking this journey with us as we explore the kingdom of God and usher in the kingdom of heaven.